I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. Hi, my name is James.
I'm Jimmy.
I think he can refuse my offer, so maybe it's not a good offer. I'm trying my best.
If he keeps up with this, he's going to be sleeping with the fishes.
My name's not Luca.
So anyway, hopefully it's obvious from that wonderful reinterpretation accent of James that we're going to be discussing The Godfather.
Godfather.
Now you can see why I look so old. Anywho, Francis Ford Coppola's classic,
Oh, wow.
The Godfather. Mario Puzo, written screenplay, book
Yes.
based on. Marlon Brando, again, being a genius, not learning his lines, but showing how he's fucking amazing
Just
as an actor.
incredible actor. Now, to just introduce how massive this film is, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows, the writer, Mario Puzo, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
I just want to make sure. He had no idea how to write for film when he came on to do this movie. So he did it to the best of his ability. And eventually, when he was going to write the sequel or the third movie, he was like, okay, I should actually learn how to write for the screen. First page he opens up of a book he bought on how to screenwrite. Read The Godfather. That is how incredible this movie is. It didn't even have, by the book screenwriting, and it has become one of the most studied films in all of history.
So if you want to be an uber nerd and you watch a movie, it's the template. It's almost every single, 99%
absolutely.
of movies, by minute, which would be page 15 to 20, you are on your hero's journey. You know what the hero's journey is. Not with The Godfather. The Godfather starts with a 30 to 45 minute wedding, and it introduces us to the culture of a Sicilian mob boss, and specifically his daughter's wedding. And we do not have any sense of where the hell this movie's going as far as the hero's journey. And to me,
Absolutely.
he's just breaking the mold, and it's perfect.
This is one of the few movies where they can afford to mess with the formula, because you watch a lot of action films, when they mess with the formula, it can either do really, really good or it just crashes and burns. With this movie, having a wedding scene and introducing characters before action above all else, one of the greatest choices ever made by a writer. I love the fact that you get to spend time with this family and see what they are like and who they are. You've got Sonny, or I already forgot his full name. Santino, who is hot-headed. He's very thick-skulled. He gets what he wants because he fights for it. You have Fredo, thank you. I don't know why I missed that. You have Fredo, Fred, whatever they nicknamed him. He's kind of the weird kid. He's just there. He's hanging out. He's having a good time. You have Michael, the favorite son, the youngest child. You can tell quite clearly.
Youngest son,
Excuse me. You can tell quite clearly that Mr. Corleone has a soft spot for him. And then you have Connie, the daughter, who is getting married to an absolute douchebag, which we will address later. The biggest character introduction I can say for this is that it is all about Don Corleone, not Michael Don, but Vito Don, and that it is who he is as a character. And if I may be a film nerd, hi. The Barbie joke makes a lot more sense now with The Godfather. But on set, there was just a stray cat, and Marlon Brando loves animals. So in the opening scene, he's petting a cat. That was the stray cat. And this was a happy accident. Him petting the cat is such an enhancement of Vito's character, in that he is vicious, he is ruthless. He does what he wants to get what he wants, but he's still kind-hearted, and he cares. He cares more than he admits.
this movie is genius when it comes to filmmaking.
Absolutely.
If you just watch it, I use this movie to teach a lot of my production classes. One of my favorite opening revealing shots of any movie is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and this, where you just have this close-up on this dude. You have no idea who he is or what's going on, and then you have this slow pan out as we eventually reveal more of the room and the man he's talking to, and giving gravitas to the Godfather by not even showing him. The dialogue is just amazing as Vito, with this soft-spoken word, is commanding your respect as he's talking to this gentleman. We find out he's an undertaker. and or mortician, I should say, and he didn't exactly respect the Godfather in the way that he wanted to be respected. He made him bow down to what he wanted to do without any violence, just his voice and his reputation. And that's the beginning of the movie.
And this opening, like, minute, 2 minute long shot, stunning. I made this joke quite a few times while we were watching. The movie is simple in a good way, in that all of the filmmaking cues and the lessons you need to learn for filmmaking are blatantly seen in this movie, which is what makes it such a brilliant masterpiece, because anybody can watch it and study it and understand what makes it so good.
The number of memes and quotes that come from this, it was hilarious as we're watching it, and James is just like, oh, that's where that came from. Oh, that's where that came from.
Try not to laugh sometimes, because I'll be honest, look at how they massacred my boy. That line is gut-wrenching, and I'm here almost giggling because I know what the meme is about, and it's like...
Well, another murder that is just as hilarious, they murder Paulie, and they're like, leave the gun, take the cannoli. I mean, that's how many times as we said that, and now it finally makes sense, and it has around a murder.
Exactly.
There's so many of those.
Oh, it's Michael's trip. Actually, let's start with Michael's story in this is beautiful, and I don't know what it is, but the way he looks, he goes from looking young and almost innocent to like old and demanding is a very incredible transformation in the film, whether it's purely psychological or not. When he goes, sorry, nick my mic. When he goes to save his father and stop the, was it?
At the hospital.
At the hospital, I can't remember who the opposing family was at that point. Fatalia?
We don't know at that point whether it's Tatalia or Bernzini.
Right.
Yeah, Berzini.
We don't know who's going to take out the father, but he's like, no, I got to defend my dad. He gets punched, taken to jail, gets bailed out, etc. So he takes upon himself to essentially avenge himself and his father so the bloodshed can stop. And he goes and he makes a meeting with this new drug dealer who's come in and tried to basically revolutionize the organized crime and then the crooked cop. And there's this beautiful moment where he's in the bathroom, and as you said while we were watching, not a train near this restaurant. And yet as he's searching for the gun and he's trying to find the will within himself to shoot these two men, you just hear trains going across tracks, and it builds the tension brilliantly. It is perfect sound design. And what I absolutely love is this little bit of characterization is that Michael doesn't shoot them right as he comes out. He sits back down and he waits. And it's just his presence in that moment is so powerful that he knows he doesn't even have to do it right then and there. He could wait for 15 minutes and then pull the trigger. And that's where you really start to see the unravelings of Michael as a character and how brilliant he is.
And the attention to detail. Luckily, I've never witnessed somebody being shot, but in that same scene,
oh my gosh,
both of those characters getting killed. It's like, wow, that is brutal, violent, unbelievable.
It is on the level of the Friday the 13th, the first movie, visual effects, and how revolutionary they were. In just that you have the mist that comes from a bullet to the head, you have like the blood everywhere, and it doesn't look fake or like late 60s visual effects. It looks like they genuinely got popped in the head.
Yeah, it's very impressive. There's the music, the soundtrack.
Oh my gosh.
Everything about this movie is perfect, except, and I try not to joke about this, but this drives me nuts. Every time I see it, I had to rewind it for James so he could see it because he didn't see it. This is how it sticks in your brain. You're like, I can't let this go. When Sonny first confronts Carlo about beating his wife, Connie, and they're on the streets, and he's kicking the shit out of him. It's awesome. There's one punch that is so blatantly pulled. He does not connect. You can see it on film because he did it in one take. You can see it doesn't. It's like this much room between James Caan's fist and Carlo, and it's like, really? Ooh. Now, granted, he makes up for it by picking up the top of the trash can and beats the crap out of him, and then kicking him into the street with the fire hydrant.
It is a blink and you'll miss it moment. So if you're not paying too much attention, you'll be fine. If you're rewatching it, you'll probably pick it up.
But I've seen this movie 50 plus times. I love it, and that's the only thing, literally, the only thing in this movie where I'm like, well, that sucked.
Yes, and it's getting to the end. This is definitely one of those movies that is a long, long haul.
So let me take a quick time out. James jokingly asked, is there an intermission? And there was. Back in the day, it was 2 VHS tapes, and you literally got the intermission on screen, switch tapes, so you would. I think the DVDs did too, but in the theater, they definitely had a point. It's intermission. Go to the bathroom. Go get some popcorn stuff. And so I paused it for him, obviously, but I'm like, yeah, there really was an intermission, James. Not so much anymore.
I made the joke. What the fuck is this, Casablanca?
Which is not funny because Casablanca's shorter. But yeah, it was. It was long. But that's the thing. You watch this and you really don't sit there going, God, this is a long movie. It's so good. The actors.
It is.
Al Pacino, Diane Keaton,
Oh my gosh.
Robert Duvall, Marlon Brando, John Cassavetes, James Caan,
Yes.
Connie, Talia Shire.
Yes. It gets
Abe Vigoda.
so good. All of the writing is brilliant. And the only time I was like, when does this end? Is that it's like, I don't know which scene it ended on. I know it ends at some point when when Vito dies. And I'm like, when does this end? I don't want it to end, but I'm like, when does this end? I'm so lost. What is happening? Why, huh? And that's what's so brilliant about this movie is that even though there are points at which you're like, does it end here? You're not like, I want it to end here. You're like, does it end here? And it's those last few scenes, as much as I think a very different message could have been conveyed if it ended with just Vito dying. Those last few scenes are great for characterizing Michael. And I love the scene after all the other mob bosses have been shot and killed. You have the one who was the one at the baptism with them.
Carlo?
Yeah, no, not Carlo. The one before him where he was like talking with Tom. And he was like, Tom, can you put
Abe Vigoda?
Yeah.
No.
Was he? Okay, so he was not at the baptism.
No. I'm sorry. He was.
Who was at the baptism.
But he set up the betrayal at the funeral.
Exactly. And so he's getting taken away and he's like, oh my God, they're all dead. And Tom's like, there's nothing I can do. And it's this brilliant moment of just acting and characterizing Michael as this ruthless, intelligent mob boss. And then later when he goes to Carlo doesn't make it out. He doesn't do too hot.
No. And this movie is just beginning to end brilliant. I had a lot of problems not giving it away to James, but not only that, at times trying to give him backstory because I obviously know there's 2 follow-up movies. But one of the other things I had a lot of fun was the little behind the scenes, like in the beginning.
So much fun.
Marlon Brando literally was not memorizing his lines.
No.
So they were taping up his script on the back of other actors, certain parts of the scene, and then Walter Murch, who was the sound designer, he's also a very famous editor, had no idea where he was going to deliver these lines, so he was putting microphones all over the place on set so that they would be able to actually hear what Marlon Brando was saying.
And it's interesting, as an actor, watching all of this, being like, where is he looking? Where are his lines? What direction is he looking at? And it's so much of it is just Brando being a goofball. You have, again, the cat. There's the scene where he's in the stretcher. He put weights on the stretcher to
As
be
they're coming back home. And that was another one I told. I was like, Marlon Brando was known as a prankster. And on set, he put weights on the bottom of the stretcher. So as they're lifting it, like, oh my God. And it's like, of course, that's hilarious.
One of my other favorites is he's just playing with some fish. I'm like, I really hope those fish were just there randomly and he was not supposed to be messing with the fish. And he was just like, ooh, fish. Another great one is when he's with his grandson and they're playing and it's just this precious, sweet moment between the two. I can't tell if Brando is kind of done with the kid or if he's just putting on a show of I'm a tired old grandpa. It's very sweet.
And the other fun fact that I was able to point out is the baby that gets baptized at the end. It's a boy baby in the movie, but that is Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, Sofia Coppola, who obviously goes on to be in the 3rd movie as an actress.
Yes.
And then has become a very famous director.
Which, if I may say, is the most brilliant way to knock out filming a movie and a baptism at the same time. I mean, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, why not? It's so much of this movie is great, and it's all of it comes together to just create this absolute masterclass of filmmaking. So if you are at all interested in making movies, watch this movie. This is the golden standard. Don't feel like you have to follow it, but definitely watch it so you know what to do.
And it's hard to believe they made a better one after.
Oh, wow, they made a better one. So go watch Godfather.